Good day! I am Deft Funk, and I'm going to talk about voice acting, specifically what makes good voice acting great. Now, there are tons of aspiring voice actors out there, and it's not hard to see why. Acting is a glamorous job, a fun job, and success in that industry will score you with women and men instantly. That last part isn't true, but you know what I mean. But what exactly separates the good voice actors from the great ones? What precisely are those little techniques that they employ that keep producers coming to them instead of the thousands of others? This is a question I've wrestled with for quite a while, and I don't have all the answers, and what I do have might even be wrong at times. But it is my firm belief that mastery of a craft comes from not only practice, but study as well. To that end, I was hoping I could, compare notes with you guys or something. As a forewarning, I'm going to be mentioning My Little Pony a lot because, well, this is me, 24/7. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is interpretation, and I'm going to start by diving straight into an example. So, all you aspiring voice actors out there, read this line out loud for me, pretty please. All done? Cool. So hopefully the first thing you did is ask, what's the context? Which you should always do if it's not given or if it's unclear. There is a huge difference between, hey Carl, it's been a while since I saw you, and
hey Carl, it's been a while since I saw you. Get it? Saw?
And you don't want to get that wrong. It never hurts to ask. So back to the earlier example, for this, you were yelling at Pinky as you were both falling to your death. With that in mind, let me take a crack at it.
Pinky, you were supposed to secure the rope.
Bad. That's what I call whisper screaming. It might be a bit difficult to imagine this, but if you were falling to your death, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be like, ah! No, you'd be more like, ah! So take two.
Pinky, you were supposed to secure the rope.
Something like that might be passable to some, but let's hear how a pro like Tabitha St. Germain does that. Did you hear that? It wasn't, Pinky, you were supposed to secure the rope. It was,
Pinky, you were supposed to secure the rope!
You see, I was far too focused on saying this exactly as it was written, and it just didn't sound natural. It gave no indication of the fear I must be feeling from the lethal fall. You see how Miss St. Germain inputs these screams of abject terror into her lines? It's stuff like this that she gets praised for all the time. You see, 9 times out of 10, your lines will not be set in stone. No one will begrudge you for adding, removing, or changing bits or pieces here and there, especially if you find it easier to say. Or in this case, help it sound more natural. Though for a better example of script interpretation, I'd like to show you this scene from Conker's Bad Fur Day, and I'd like you to pay close attention to the difference between what these characters are actually saying and what's in these speech bubbles, which I wouldn't doubt is very similar to the script they were given. In fact, I'll point these differences out to you. Oh, and there's some strong language in here for people who are sensitive to that stuff.
Hey, Frankie! I think there's a little fellow over there. He's just coming in through the door. I think it's your turn to kick his... Is it his turn?
Yeah, I say it was his turn. Yeah, Frankie, go and kick his ass. Go on, kick his ass.
I ain't kicking it. But it's always my turn to kick their asses. Frank, just get over there and kick his ass, Frankie, for sake.
Yeah, go over there, kick his ass. Somebody's gotta kick his ass. It ain't gonna be me. I'm a boss. Now you don't kick ass.
But I'm a paint pot anyway. I'm a paint pot. Go kick his ass. Okay, I'll kick his ass. I'm not going over there. He can come over here. Okay. Hey, here he comes. Quick. Just keep still.
So how will you know when or if to make your own revisions to a script? Unfortunately, it's one of those things for which there is no one right answer. But I say it helps to know what emotion your character would be feeling given the situation. Another reason context is quite important. Would this emotion cause stuttering, sputtering, hushed tones, rushed tones, grunts, giggles, higher pitched? I don't know. You gotta use your imagination. Alright, next point. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you out there when lifting heavy objects sound like this? I'm gonna hazard a guess and say somewhere in the ballpark of 0. Making that much noise would likely require more effort than the lifting itself. Here's another question. You know how in those action movies where the hero's gunning down the goons and the goons are all like, "Wah!" and fly like 10 feet in the air, flipping like omelets? The Mythbusters did an episode about that. That stuff doesn't happen in real life, so why does it happen in the movies? In both these cases, the actors are exaggerating, really cranking up the theatrics, putting on a good show. Earlier, when I talked about sounding natural, I lied. You should sound more than natural. In other words, you should exaggerate. This is what I believe amateur actors have the most trouble with. So if there's any one thing you take away from this lecture, let it be this. Let me tell you, it is very, very, very hard to overact. That is because the margin of error for that is about this big in comparison to underacting. I like to operate under the philosophy that you should always try to overact, because chances are you're gonna fall short. Perhaps most importantly,
Put some energy into it!
show some passion, show some conviction. Audiences love that stuff, even if you're given one little measly line. Put your heart into it. You know what helps with that? Moving. And I'm talking about moving outside this little box called the gesture zone. The gesture zone, for those who don't know, is the area in which most gestures are made in your average everyday conversation, usually involving not lifting your elbows. Any gesture made outside this box will call attention to your body, which is often a good thing when it comes to acting. So I say lift those elbows. It will lift some weight off your diaphragm and allow the energy to flow through you. Bring it out in your voice. You should often find it to be physically exhausting when done at length. That's when you know you're doing it right. Even if you're not moving like I described, there are stories of actors straight up passing out in the booth from the strain, though those are extreme cases, I'm sure. And I'm not talking about simply yelling like I love to do. In the same way you can overdo crying. Apprehension?
Oh my gosh, excitement! Outrage, god damn it!
And whatever else. So when you got a line and you got the context, you should think about how to exaggerate that context. If you're angry, how can you sound more angry? If you're excited, how can you sound more excited? When throwing your emotions and possibly your body out there like that, you might quickly find that this feels ridiculous and that you're making a fool of yourself. That's the point. Acting is often a very ridiculous thing, be it comedy or drama. You must release your inhibitions and embrace the silliness, for if you are afraid to make a fool of yourself, you have already lost the battle. Give up and go home. Okay, don't actually give up. I don't like quitters. So next point, finding a voice. A common pitfall that I see many fall into, myself included once, is thinking that they can't do very many voices. This is simply not true. Everyone has a myriad of voices they can do. For starters, there's generally 3 pitches to which people can bend their voice. The middle, which you likely use in your everyday conversation. The low, which you can use if you want to talk like me. And the high, easily achieved by going all falsetto. So bam, there's 3 voices right there. Here's another thing, pinch your nose. Soon you'll be talking like this. What? Who talks like this, you ask? I don't know, you tell me. Ever done this before? Deft, go clean your room. Me. Well, there's another voice right there. I could go on with this, but a much easier and more fun method of making voices is through imitation. Be it a general idea, like one of those guys you expect to find in a dark alley. Or someone more specific, like maybe your mom. But seriously, if she fits the bill, then why not? Of course, there's always pre-existing characters you can imitate. For example, here's my imitation of Rarity. Forgive me, but prior to you so rudely dragging me down a dirt pit, I had a pony pet, and I am not about to chip a hoof because you dislike my style of digging. Notice that I sound absolutely nothing like Rarity, but that's okay because I have now created a brand spanking new voice. This is now the official fan voice for Stargazer. I've claimed him, you can't have him. But in my opinion, you really shouldn't think too long and hard about all that, because another common pitfall I see many fall into, again myself once included, is thinking that once you find a voice, you must not deviate from it. Not true. For this, I'm going to make an example of Fluttershy. Everyone and their mom can sound like Fluttershy. I could sound like Fluttershy if I tried hard enough. Rainbow Dash, you rock! Woohoo! Okay, maybe not, but what I'm getting at is Fluttershy doesn't always sound like this. Can you imagine if Fluttershy sounded like this during this scene right here? No pony pushes new Fluttershy around. No pony. Bad. Or perhaps even that infamous time at the gala. You're going to love me. Worse! This is what I call being monotone. This ties nicely back into that exaggeration thing I was talking about earlier. When you throw your emotions out there, you'll often find that your voice fluctuates wildly with them. Embrace this fluctuation. Just listen to all the different notes Andrea Libman frequently hits while playing Fluttershy.
Were we arguing? Mama's so proud. Gotcha! Taxi! I'm missing it! No! Yes! Don't leave me here! No! He's a Minotaur!
Raven is another character with a very distinct manner of speech.
That was surprisingly fun. Let's do it again sometime.
And yet she can't go a single episode without raising her voice at something.
I'm fighting a vacuum cleaner and losing. Stop it. You're upsetting me.
Plankton's another fine example. He talks smooth when things are going his way.
This will be the beginning of the end.
His voice goes up in pitch when complications arise.
Let me go!
And he adopts some grit when he gets really passionate.
I went to college!
For those that play multiple characters at the same time, this may very well cause your voices to run into each other. But as you can see...
Are you coughing because there's a carrot stuck in your throat? Maybe because I haven't handled things on my own.
We won't even bother with the traditional royal farewell! My hooves are getting positively pruny. I've been waiting here so long.
I can't have all of these animals on my train. Luckily, she has friends like you who got her over here in a jiffy.
This is not that big of a problem. It should be far less of concern than sounding monotone. Next point, enunciation. It is a high priority to speak clearly so that everyone understands you. This involves projecting your voice as if you were speaking to someone on the opposite side of the room. I'm doing that right now, in fact. This is how I sound like when I'm not projecting. It encourages mumbling, which is no bueno. Also, be sure to put extra emphasis on your consonants, especially those at the end of the words. But this is something you do not want to overdo. Overdoing enunciation slows down your speech and impedes your act, making it sound quite unnatural. One might even say robotic. And nobody wants robots doing the acting for them. Not even robots get voiced by robots, which, now that I think about it, might have something to do with why they changed Robot Jones's voice. But I digress. Okay, so the last topic I want to hit is getting your voice out there. Another common pitfall I see is people claiming, I'm a voice actor, probably naming a few imitations they can do well, and then sitting and waiting for roles to fall into their lap. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that's simply not going to happen, regardless of how talented you are. No one's going to employ you if they don't know who you are and can't see for themselves what you can do. You must take it upon yourself to get your talents out there, and a good way to do that is by auditioning. There's some nifty sites out there like the Voice Acting Alliance, Voice Acting Club, and the like, where people post casting calls. Be warned that in about 90% of the things you audition for, you won't get any parts, and about 90% of the parts you do get will never come to fruition. And when I put it that way, it seems pretty bleak, but, well, there's other options. You can also always ask people directly if they need actors. It never hurts to ask. The worst they can do is ignore you, which you'll probably get a lot, so be prepared for that. If you must, create your own productions. Dub some stuff, read some stories, I don't know, I'm sure you'll think of something. And don't sit there and tell me that you can't because you can. Anyone can. You're just being lazy. Please notice, however, that I'm talking about getting your voice out on the internet, for internet projects and the like. If you want to actually make money off of this, perhaps even pursue a career in this field, well then I cannot help you. That involves some crazy marketing schemes that I just can't wrap my head around. Alright, I think that's all I have to say in this video, but I would once again like to emphasize that I am just one guy, and nowhere near a professional at this. Am I missing anything, or did I get something wrong? Please tell me in the comments, I'd really like to know. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.